Guys, did you know, when you close the door of a Rolls Royce, you don't hear a slam. You only hear silence being engineered. The doors of Rolls Royce are not simply shut, they are tuned. The sound of closure is engineered through latch geometry, insulation density, and pressure displacement. It is not accidental. It is calculated. Every line, every seam, every gram of metal is calculated to eliminate vibration, suppress noise, and redefine motion itself. Guys, this is for real. A gentleman took a Rolls for a test drive. After the drive, when he came out of the car, he feels a wave of dizziness wash over him. His body feels wrong, and he struggles to find his balance on the solid ground. This is not a scene from a film. It actually happened in 2017. Test drivers for one of the world's most meticulous car makers began to report feeling sick. The cause was not motion, but the lack of it. It was the silence. The cabin of the new Phantom was so perfectly engineered for quiet that it stripped away the subtle, ambient sounds our brains use for spatial orientation. The silence was absolute, and it was disorienting. It was too perfect. The human body is not a silent thing. It creates its own noise. Heartbeats, breathing, the blood flow. In that anechoic chamber on wheels, and these internal sounds became unnervingly loud for a human brain. The engineers who had spent years chasing the ghost of absolute silence had succeeded too well. Guys, Rolls is not just a luxury car, it is a moving laboratory of precision engineering, where tolerances are measured in microns and comfort is achieved through physics, not decoration. Today we decode the engineering philosophy that transformed Rolls-Royce from a symbol of wealth into a benchmark of mechanical perfection. In 1904, in a modest hotel in Manchester, two very different men met for the first time. One was a wealthy aristocrat and early automobile enthusiast, Charles Rolls. The other was a self-taught engineer obsessed with mechanical perfection, Henry Royce. Royce had built his first car because he was dissatisfied with the unreliable French vehicles he had purchased. His philosophy was simple, almost ruthless. Take the best that exists and make it better. When it does not exist, design it, and he did. That meeting gave birth to Rolls. It started not in a high-tech lab, but in a small room in Manchester, England. The year was 1904, but the company was not built on luxury, it was built on intolerance for mechanical imperfection. In 1907, the world met the Silver Ghost. After completing a 15,000-mile endurance trial with almost no mechanical failure, the press declared it the best car in the world. Rolls-Royce did not invent the slogan. They adopted it. Reputation became engineering's ally. Guys, did you know that, for decades, Rolls-Royce refused to publish horsepower figures? Instead, engine output of Rolls-Royce was described as adequate. Performance was never meant to shout, it was meant to disappear beneath effortless motion. Guys, did you know that their agreement was simple and powerful? Rolls would sell every car that Royce could build. The cars would bear both their names. That is how Rolls-Royce was born. Yet few people realize that the same company that perfected automotive smoothness would later power fighter planes in World War II. Their pursuit soon reached the skies. The Merlin engine, engineered by Rolls-Royce, became the mechanical heart of the Spitfire and Hurricane aircraft. Aerospace precision began shaping automotive philosophy. Most people don't realize the company went bankrupt in 1971. The collapse was not caused by cars. It was triggered by massive financial losses developing the RB211 jet engine for Lockheed's L-1011 aircraft. The British government had to nationalize the aerospace division. Guys, did you know that Rolls-Royces use a proprietary all-aluminum space frame called the architecture of luxury? It is a modular frame designed for high acoustic impedance. Over 500 separate parts are hand-welded with careful, precise calculation. Aluminum is used not just for weight, but because its resonant frequency is different from steel, helping to cancel road noise before it reaches the cabin. This is achieved through the planar suspension system. It uses a world-first upper wishbone damper, a literal damper on a damper, to absorb high-frequency vibrations that even air suspension usually misses. The interior, or Rolls Royce, is the engineering sensory silence. Rolls Royce doesn't just add luxury, they engineer out the unluxury. They use only bull hides, since cows have stretch marks from pregnancy. These bull hides are sourced from high-altitude European regions where there are no fences, to avoid scratches, and fewer insects, to avoid bite marks. Then these hides are drum-dyed rather than painted. This ensures the color permeates through the entire thickness, so the leather doesn't crack or show white if scratched. Then it is tumbled for up to 16 hours to ensure it never squeaks when you sit, since the silence is an engineering requirement for Rolls Royce. The wood inside the Rolls. Guys, did you know that artisans spend a month creating a single wood set? They use a technique called book matching, where adjacent leaves of veneer are opened like a book to create a perfectly symmetrical grain pattern across the dashboard. Then comes the climate testing for these woods. Every wood panel is subjected to extreme temperature cycles, from 10 degrees C to 100 degrees CC for 10 days, to ensure the lacquer never cracks, whether the car is running in Dubai's heat or Siberia's cold and harsh climate. Then comes the unseen engineering of soundproofing. There is over 130 kilos of sound insulation hidden inside the doors, roof, and floor. The Rolls-Royce worked with Continental to develop silent seal tires. These tires have a specialized acoustic foam layer placed inside the tire carcass to reduce road cavity noise by up to 9 decibels. Then come the Starlight headliner. This process involves 800 to 1,600 fiber optic cables hand-woven through the leather. Engineers can even program shooting stars to fire at random intervals across the ceiling. But guys, the heart of the Rolls-Royce car is its engine. Quiet, effortless, and the performance is paramount. Large, slow-turning engines. The iconic 6.75-liter V12. It is tuned for waftability. Maximum torque is available at just 1,600 RPM. This allows the Rolls to accelerate with a silent shove rather than a high-revving roar. Satellite-aided transmission is another masterpiece of every Rolls. The 8-speed gearbox uses GPS data to see the road ahead. If it sees a hill or a sharp corner, it pre-selects the correct gear before you even reach the bend, so the shift is completely imperceptible to the passengers. Then comes the paint process. The Rolls-Royce applies 5 layers of paint and clear coat, and this roughly weight around 45 kilograms. Each Rolls is then hand-polished for 5 hours by artisans using fine abrasive pastes to achieve a mirror-like finish with zero orange peel texture. Guys, in the world of Rolls-Royce, the paint job isn't just a finish, it's an engineering feat. While robots handle the base layers for consistency, but the human element is what makes it decoded as a masterpiece. There is a legendary figure at the home of Rolls-Royce in Goodwood named Mark Court. Mark is the only person in the world who is authorized to paint the coach line, the pinstripe, on a Rolls-Royce. Before joining the Rolls-Royce back in 2003, Mark was a local village sign painter. It took him 5 years of apprenticeship just to master the specific 6-meter-long stroke required for a Rolls-Royce. Mark performs his work at the very end of the production line. Because the paint he uses bonds instantly to the lacquer, there is no eraser. If he slips, the entire car, worth hundreds of thousands, must be sanded down and repainted. Mark's process is a blend of ancient craft and steady-handed meditation. He uses specialized brushes made from fine squirrel hair. Synthetic bristles tend to leave tiny track marks in the paint. Natural squirrel hair is so soft it leaves a perfectly smooth glass-like finish. To ensure his hand moves without friction, Mark powders his fingers with a fine talc. This allows his hand to slide over the polished surface like a puck on ice. He doesn't use a ruler or a mask. He uses a piece of tape as a visual guide but paints the line completely freehand. A single 5mm wide coach line takes roughly 3 hours to complete per car. The body is submerged in a primer bath to prevent any hint of rust. Multiple layers are applied by robots to ensure zero orange peel, the bumpy texture seen on normal cars. 2 thick layers of clear coat are added to provide the depth of the shine. They use various grits of abrasive paste to ensure that if you look at the paint, you can see your reflection with the clarity of a high-definition mirror. Did you know? If a customer forgets to order a coach line and realizes they want one later, Rolls Royce doesn't ask for the car back. They fly Mark Court to the customer's home, anywhere from Dubai to New York, to paint the line in their private garage. Mark Court often says he has to shut off his brain. If he thinks about the fact that he's holding a brush against a $500,000 car, owned by a king or a celebrity, his hand might shake. Guys, this thing is amazing about the Rose. The nickel test. It is a decades-old tradition used to demonstrate the perfect balance of a Rolls Royce V12 engine. You take a US nickel, or a 50p coin, and stand it on its edge directly on top of the engine block while the engine is running. The engine is so perfectly balanced, the coin remains standing. It does not jump, it does not shudder, it does not fall. It is a diagnostic tool, a physical representation of precision, every piston matched for weight, every crankshaft balanced. Engine mounts absorb vibration, each part engineered to function in harmony, an ecosystem for serenity. Now the question is how it works. Guys, Rolls-Royce uses a 6.75L V12 configuration. Physically, a V12 is inherently balanced, meaning the movement of one piston perfectly cancels out the vibration of another. When combined with their specialized rubber engine mounts, the vibration is virtually zero. In the early days of the Rose, drivers would accidentally try to start the car while it was already running because they couldn't feel or hear the motor, since the engine is so quiet and smooth. Guys, the next is the hood ornament, also known as the Flying Lady. It has a secret history and some of the coolest mechanical engineering on the car. The statue isn't a goddess. She was a real person named Eleanor Thornton. She was the secret mistress of Lord Montagu, a pioneer of the auto industry. The first version of this ornament was called the Whisper. It showed Eleanor with her finger to her lips, symbolizing her secret love affair with the Lord. Eleanor died at sea in 1915 when her ship was torpedoed by a U-boat. To this day, every Rolls-Royce carries her likeness as a silent tribute. If you try to touch or steal the spirit of ecstasy, it vanishes. This is a brilliant bit of engineering. The ornament on the Rolls is mounted on a spring-loaded mechanism connected to a sensor. While it stops thieves, since the ornament can cost up to $10,000 if it's gold-plated, it's actually a safety feature. It retracts during a collision so that the metal statue doesn't injure a pedestrian. Guys, did you know? There is a famous quote from David Ogilvy, the father of advertising, about the Rolls-Royce. At 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise in this new Rolls-Royce comes from the electric clock. When engineers read this, they didn't celebrate. They were actually upset. They went back to the factory and spent months to re-engineer the clock to make it quieter, because they felt even the ticking was too much noise for a Rolls-Royce. A private sky, the dedication to craft becomes poetry, the starlight headliner. Hundreds, even thousands, of tiny points of light, each the tip of a fiber optic strand, individually placed and woven into leather by hand, taking up to 17 hours. Each strand is trimmed at a precise angle for perfect diffusion, brightness tuned from bright twinkle to soft glow. The pattern isn't fixed. Clients request custom constellations, symbols, or the exact sky on a specific date and place. A child's birth, an anniversary, turning the roof into an emotional canvas. Technology and human skill for a single individual. To sit and gaze at a sky uniquely yours is an experience that transcends transportation. Guys, more than a century after that meeting in Manchester, Rolls-Royce is no longer just a name on a grill. It is discipline, a philosophy forged by an engineer who refused to tolerate imperfection, and a partnership that believed precision could define identity. From the endurance trials of the Silver Ghost to the roar of Merlin engines in wartime skies, and from the bankruptcy to rebirth, the story of Rolls-Royce is not about luxury, it is about resilience engineered into metal. In a world obsessed with speed and spectacle, Rolls Royce chose something harder to build: effortlessness. And perhaps that is the real secret behind the silence. If you enjoyed this deep decoding, please like the video and share it with someone who appreciates real engineering. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to Wonders Are Decoded. Join us next time as we decode another wonder where precision, ambition, and human genius collide.